be so negative, man? Why can't my team have good things? Why can't we have nice things?
They can.
Okay, well, we're in the process of finalizing a huge contract to make John Harbaugh our next head coach. Why do you want to throw out speculation that John Harbaugh could have eyes toward another NFL franchise?
Do me a favor. Pull up the press release where they announced it. Okay, now that we're done with that. Good morning, Smalls.
Good morning, Ev. Good morning, Cece. Canty, you're telling me you're not even slightly nervous that the deal hasn't gotten done yet, while the Packers and Matt LaFleur are also negotiating a deal? And our very own Adam Schefter on Sunday NFL Countdown said, you know, if the Green Bay job were to open up, you know who's got a lot of connections there, and you know who might be interested in that job? One John Harbaugh.
No, I'm not nervous, Smalls. Even if I was, I wouldn't tell you. This is a moment to project strength.
Okay. Fake it till you make it?
Damn right we are.
Okay.
This is the best moment we've had since my team held up the Lombardi Trophy in Super Bowl 46. This is huge for the Giants. They've undergone 5 different coaching searches over the last decade post Tom Coughlin. This team has the 29th ranked winning percentage since 2011, which was the season that we won the Super Bowl. So, yeah, the Giants need somebody to step in that's a football czar that's going to command respect, that is going to demand discipline and accountability, and John Harbaugh is going to bring those things in spades. Are there some flaws with John Harbaugh? Yeah. That's why he's available as a candidate for the Giants to hire, because things didn't work out to the level that Steve Bisciotti wanted down there in Baltimore. But when it comes to proven program builders, there aren't a whole lot of people in the NFL that have more on the resume than John Harbaugh. This is an absolute home run hire for Big Blue.
Let's deal now in what's new and what's facts since we left off yesterday on our show. Because yesterday, the majority of the show was the celebration for the New York Giants, who finally removed themselves as the Jets in blue. Okay? That is what we thought. And that still is more likely than not to happen. It feels like it's whatever 90-some-odd% done. But factually, the New York Giants have not announced that John Harbaugh is their head football coach. That is a fact, right? We thought by the time we came in today that would have happened. Okay? Facts. We thought by the time we came in today that the Green Bay Packers would have some level of clarity with their head coaching position. We know Matt LaFleur is employed there. We also know that it's for 1 year. He wants multiple years. They may not want as many years as he wants. We still have no clarity on that. In addition, we know that factually, Adam Schefter, as Smalls mentioned on Sunday, before all of the John Harbaugh to the Giants stuff happened, that the Packers were an interesting job for him. So that's why we sit today, and it may only be for right now. We may get in 1 hour a press release that says the Giants are hiring John Harbaugh. But in this moment right now, I must ask the question, is there any chance that John Harbaugh is the coach of the Packers next year?
Well, this is from the piece yesterday. This is what Schefter reported, and this is what Jordan Renan posted at .com yesterday, and we spoke to him on the show. Go back on the podcast and listen. He had great information about this entire process and how the Giants were able to get John Harbaugh. But Jordan writes, the deal is not final, and contract numbers are still being negotiated, with one source telling Adam Schefter, quote, there is still a lot to work through. But barring any setbacks, Harbaugh is ready to accept the Giants deal, and the team is expected to hire him as soon as possible. This was from yesterday, and yet we still have no press release.
So then let's answer this question. Both parties, Giants and Packers, what do you think the holdup is for both parties in this case? Because Harbaugh can pick whatever the heck he wants to do. CC played for him. They won a Super Bowl. He's unbelievably accomplished. He's the guy you want to be the face of the franchise. If he wants to back out right now and go to the Packers, people may not like it. He has every right to do it. He's John Harbaugh. He has a right to do it. Here's the question, though. What is each party in your mind waiting for? Is it the Giants just waiting for Harbaugh to sign off? Are we waiting on what are the Packers waiting for with LaFleur? What do you think the holdup is every which way here?
Well, it's a 5-year deal near $100 million, so that's complicated. Anytime you're working out a contract that's 9 figures, there's going to be some minutia that you have to work through. Also, you got to figure out what kind of budget he's going to have to allocate toward the staff that he wants to bring in him. Based on what the reporting around the situation is, he wants to bring offensive coordinator Todd Monken with him. Who's going to be his DC? It's anybody's guess, but Anthony Weaver has been linked to the job. My former teammate Antonio Pierce, who's a Giants favorite, has been linked to the job. Pass rush expert / pass rush coach Chuck Smith is another person that Harbaugh has worked with in Baltimore. Could he be coming to New York? So I think figuring out all of those things. And then, oh, by the way, there is the dynamic of working with Joe Shane, a general manager that he's inheriting, a general manager that happens to be on the hot seat. What is it going to look like in terms of who has final say over personnel? Those are conversations that have to happen as well. And then getting clarity on who your boss is going to be into the future. Right? With John Mara's battle with cancer, Chris Mara was the first executive to sit down with John Harbaugh for a face-to-face meeting in Baltimore earlier in the week. You know, there are all of these different things that come along with being the next head coach that need clarity in order for John Harbaugh to step into that role with full confidence, knowing that this is the job for him. So I think that is the more likely scenario when we start talking about what's holding up the Giants finalizing this deal and making it official through a press release.
But everything you just outlined, none of those are small things. And until, like I said yesterday, I'm superstitious. Until the ink is dry, if I'm a Giants fan, I'm going to hold my breath, because we're talking about who your boss is going to be, the chain of command with power, working with an incumbent GM who is on the hot seat, who you may not have the same vision as. What is the money going to look like? Can I bring my staff in? These are all major things. So when Schefter says there's still a lot to work through, and you have this other spot that is a very desirable job that, quite frankly, if both jobs were open, I think the Packers would be the obvious choice. I know the New York Football Giants have a lot to work with, but the Packers have, not only is it also an historic franchise, they have more pieces in place to win now. So as long as that is still looming and the deal is not done, I'm going to sit back.
Can I ask y'all a question, though?
Yeah.
And I know that objectively the Packers' job is a better job than the Giants' job. If you're Green Bay and the goal is to get over the hump, is John Harbaugh the coach you want? Based on what's happened in recent years, based on what he has gotten done, or better way to phrase it, what he hasn't gotten done with a future Hall of Fame quarterback, is that the guy that you want to get you to a Super Bowl? I think for where the New York Giants are, John Harbaugh makes a ton of sense because they're starting from zero.
They need stability.
They've got to build it back, right? Yeah. I mean, they have the fourth fewest wins since the beginning of the 2012 season. I mean, it's objectively bad. If you're the Green Bay Packers, is John Harbaugh the coach that's going to deliver you a championship?
Well, based on Matt LaFleur's playoff record, based on what happened versus the Bears over the weekend, and the last thing you saw from him as a coach, blowing a double-digit lead into the fourth quarter to your hated rivals, who's year one with a head coach, year two with a quarterback, you could look at John Harbaugh and say, even though he couldn't get it done with Lamar, a two-time MVP, and even though it wasn't great from a playoff perspective in Baltimore the past couple years, he's won a Super Bowl. I know he can do it. I can't confidently say the same thing about Matt LaFleur. And that's just playing devil's advocate. I believe in LaFleur. I hope the deal gets done, just so we're clear.
Yeah, what's interesting about that, it's a great question you asked, CC. And the funny thing is, if you're the Packers, you could ask the same question about Matt LaFleur. Yeah. So it's like, if we're saying part of the Giants holdup could be the potential opportunity that opens in Green Bay, and maybe that's part of this. And by the way, if the Green Bay opportunity opens, that means there has to be a process. So John Harbaugh's waiting much longer, right? Because there has to be the proper legal process within the NFL rules. But we're talking about a guy that you're saying in John Harbaugh has not recently gotten over the hump with a Hall of Fame quarterback, two-time MVP, which is factually correct, obviously. But numerically, that's why the Packers are asking the same question about Matt LaFleur, because we hype up Matt LaFleur so much, including playoffs. Including playoffs. You know what his record is over the last 4 years? 38, 33, and 1. 30. You know how many division titles he's won with Jordan Love? 0. So if the Packers are searching for a put over the top guy, and you rightfully are saying, and you love Harbaugh, he is perfect for some teams, is he perfect for them? You actually just made the case as to why the Packers may consider moving on from Matt LaFleur.
Well, they have the exact same playoff record since 2019. Well, let me say it differently. Since Lamar Jackson got there in 2018, John Harbaugh is 3-6 in the postseason. Matt LaFleur is 3-6 in the postseason since he took over in 2019.
Right.
Same exact playoff record.
Right.
So, I mean, I understand John Harbaugh has the Lombardi, but that was 2012. This is a completely different NFL. This is a different generation of athlete.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that John Harbaugh is the put over the top guy. For the New York Giants, you don't need that. because you're so far away from that right
Correct.
now. But if you're the Green Bay Packers, you better make damn sure that if you're moving on from Matt LaFleur in lieu of John Harbaugh, that this thing gets microwaved in terms of the level of success that you have in the playoffs. I am not sold that that is the exact fit that the Green Bay Packers need in terms of getting them to the championship. I don't know that that's the missing ingredient in terms of what John Harbaugh is bringing to the table.
Okay, so let's just be clear on where we stand on this, because this is juicy, obviously, because we're all excited about the possibility of the coaching carousel, and the first coach to drop, so to speak, was Harbaugh to the Giants. That technically hasn't happened. So as we sit here today, CC, as a former Giant and a former Harbaugh player, is saying this is an enormous contract with enormous power, enormous responsibility, and enormous dollars. That takes more than a day to figure out.
Yes.
Smalls is saying, while that is all true, I still have to wonder where we are with the Packers and what that potentially could do to delay the Giants' head coaching finalization, so to speak, with John Harbaugh. That is why this is fascinating right now, that we are sitting here today, 24 hours after we did the John Harbaugh celebratory show with no John Harbaugh signed contract for the New York Giants and no decision on Matt LaFleur.
I'm just sitting there thinking about the Green Bay of it all. It's really not the Packers style to go after a head coach like this. They usually find the coordinator and elevate them, hire them from somewhere else, promote them from somewhere else, and that ends up being their head coach. They typically don't go this route in big game hunting for somebody that was previously a head coach at another stop. Now, I get it. It's a little bit different because this is a new team president and that policy. He might want to do things a little bit differently. I don't know. Something about that just doesn't seem plausible in terms of going through this whole situation with Matt LaFleur and then quickly pivoting to snatch John Harbaugh from the New York Giants.
Agreed. But when you mortgage your future to acquire Micah Parsons, you firmly open a window to win. And with the loss that they just had to the Bears, that sense of urgency has to be ratcheted up. So maybe you do something that you normally wouldn't do.
Ravens, Giants, Packers, all at home. There are teams playing this weekend, and there's one team with one man that is certainly the lead of the focal point for the playoffs this weekend. We will get to that after CC has this from Granger.
As you know, managing maintenance, repair, and operations